Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, one of the most misunderstood ideas in global politics, the principle of self-determination. It sounds so simple, right? But as you're about to see, it's a concept that's in a real crisis.
And boom, this quote just perfectly nails the central problem from the get-go. The entire idea of let the people rule just completely falls apart if you can't even agree on who the people actually are. This one single question, it's the paradox that has fueled conflict for literally centuries.
And look, this isn't some dusty old historical debate. We see it playing out right now, all across the world. You've got the Kurds, the Quebecois, the Palestinians, all of them claiming this very right. And the international community's response? Well, it's usually all over the place, which just goes to show you how relevant and how incredibly thorny this idea still is.
So, let's get to the heart of why this principle is so tricky. It's because, fundamentally, it's at war with itself. You see, self-determination isn't just one simple idea. It's really a constant battle between two. On one side, you have the rights of the community, the collective self, and on the other, you have the rights of the individual. And more often than not, those two values are in a really uneasy tug of war. Now, to really get why we're in the mess we're in today, we have to go back in time. We need to look at how the principle's meaning was defined, and more importantly, limited, by a very specific moment in history. Get this, 2 times, just twice. That is a massive tell. For the folks drafting the UN Charter back in 1945, self-determination was not this top-tier fundamental right we might think it is today. No, it was way down the list of priorities, and that tells you everything about its original place in international law.
So here's the bottom line. Right from the very beginning, keeping existing countries stable and preventing war were seen as way more important. The right of a group to decide its own destiny was never, ever meant to be some absolute trump card that could just blow up a country's borders.
And you can literally watch this idea get put into a smaller and smaller box over the years. In 1945, it's just a passing mention, no real teeth. But by the 60s and 70s, the UN passes these big declarations that give it some legal weight. But here's the catch. They explicitly tie the principle to one thing and one thing only: kicking out the colonizers.
And this is what we were left with. The official accepted definition of self-determination became incredibly narrow. It was about colonized people getting their independence from European empires. It was not about making sure those new countries were democratic, and it definitely wasn't about fixing the often crazy, arbitrary borders the colonizers had drawn in the first place.
Okay, but here's where the story takes a much darker turn. Because this noble-sounding idea of liberation, it's also been twisted and used to justify some of history's most brutal acts of conquest.
The principle really has 2 completely different faces. We've all seen its disintegrative side, breaking apart massive states like the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. But it also has this aggressive, expansionist face. Just think of America's manifest destiny, Napoleon's wars across Europe, or, most chillingly, Hitler's justification for a greater Germany. All of it was done in the name of a self, determining its own glorious destiny.
So that brings us right up to the present day. The era of decolonization is, for all intents and purposes, over. So what does that mean for a principle whose entire modern meaning was built around it? Where do we go from here?
Well, it means we have a huge problem. The old rulebook is basically useless, but nobody's agreed on a new one. The principle is just floating out there with no clear definition and no consistent way to apply it. And the result of that is the kind of chaotic, contradictory foreign policy we see all the time.
So how do we possibly fix this? Well, the argument is that the only way forward is to reconnect self-determination to the core values it was supposed to be about in the first place: real autonomy, genuine democracy, and basic human rights. So let's actually take a look at what this more modern, more flexible vision of self-determination could really look like in the 21st century.
And this is so important. Self-determination doesn't have to mean secession. It doesn't have to mean violent conflicts over new borders. It can be expressed in so many other ways. It could mean robustly protecting minority rights, or devolving power from a central government to local regions. It can mean creating federal systems, or just ensuring that people have the freedom for cultural self-expression. All of these are legitimate ways for the people to shape their own future. And we're going to end on this really powerful thought. The ethical pull of self-determination, the reason we care about it is its promise of freedom. But when the rights of the group are used to crush the rights of the individual, the principle loses its moral power. So the real challenge for us today is finding that balance. How do we empower the people without sacrificing the person?